welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast, or shall I say welcome back.
I wanted to say we're back, bitches, but I can't cuss on this podcast. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it has been a break for a while. It's been a break for about a year. So first of all, I want to say if this is your first episode, if for some reason you decided to tune in now, this show is all about overcoming self-limiting beliefs, being the best version of yourself. And so all of the topics you're going to hear us talk about is in that spirit, in that light. It will be me sharing my perspective. I have my producer, Aaron, who is always good to share his insights and perspective.
I'm in a little box at the corner, if you guys can see. I like it here.
It's great, right?
I like being in this little box right here.
And to our discretion, we may have guests come on and talk about different things, but this is an opportunity to be authentic. I've been podcasting since 2020. I have podcasted previously on a podcast called Bliss Beyond Fear. Born Unbreakable came out in 2021, and we really got into an amazing rhythm. Then there's this thing that happened called the election. Yeah. And that was, one quick thing, I came out with a book, Born Unbreakable, last summer. In August is when I had my book launch. The book came out on July 23rd of last year. That was a super exciting time. It was a big momentous thing for me. It was a big milestone. I was so excited about it. And then fast forward a couple of months later, the election happened, and it just created a big rift and a divide in our country. It continues. And I needed to take what I like to call a purposeful pause. And so if there's one thing that I would like you to take away from this episode is the importance of doing something like that for yourself. There are times in this life of a chaotic world where we need to take a purposeful pause for ourselves to evaluate our lives, our relationships, and what it is that we're here to do to make sure that it is meaningful. And that is what I have spent the last year doing. So this is an opportunity for me to come back, share with you what's been going on and what you can look forward to. From me, what I would love to bring to you. And, Aaron and I have partnered up for a long time. So I just really appreciate his insights, his perspective as a producer. And he's so honest. And so that's why I value his
I think that's why we need a purposeful pause, because I think, for us, we are really involved and we really pay attention to economics, to foreign affairs, to stuff that's happening in the United States. I mean, we love history. I mean, you're a political science major. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if anybody knows what they're talking about, is you have a lot of colleagues who are in politics. So we're really in there. So I think for us, I think what we're seeing is it's when you talk about purposeful pause, it's very responsible, because just like, sometimes when you're in a relationship and, you're in a fight and you're heated and you say things you don't mean and that gets worse, sometimes, just like take a breather and walk away, and talk when you're in a better space. In a better space. Yeah. So I think that's good that you're doing that, because, I mean, it's crazy because the events that have just unfolded in the last 48 hours,
absolutely.
It's crazy, because
I would be remiss not to acknowledge the state that we're in, right? And this isn't a political podcast, so I'm not going to do what other, there's the David Pakmans and Kyle Kalinskis and other people that we listen to that you go to their podcast when you want a full breakdown of what's going on, all of those things politically. But what I will say is that there have been events, like Aaron said. Let's just start with one of the biggest things. Charlie Kirk just got shot and died. Yeah. And that has caused, I would argue, a deeper rift and divide in our culture, in our socio-political culture that has already been very taxing, regardless of what political viewpoint you have. There was a stabbing of someone on a train. Yeah. And there was a shooting in Colorado. So what we're seeing is a tremendous amount of anger and division and violence, like aggressively.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we're first of all, we're here at the Roosevelt this isn't going to be this isn't our permanent studio. We're going to be doing this podcast all around the country because we're going to do a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
And our first stop here, we're at the Summit of Greatness for Lewis Howes.
Yes.
We're at the Roosevelt in a nice suite. You know what I mean? So we already had scheduled this to do this podcast. And then it's so funny because you're saying like you had to take a purposeful pause. And then now this happens and it's like, okay, well, like, oh, do we take another purposeful pause?
We planned to come to this. We planned this a year ago. And so it's just insane that how life unfolds. So the moral of the story, so that's the context, right, that we're in. So it's understandable that people are in a heightened state of emotion. Mm-hmm. And so the whole point of a purposeful pause is getting back to center, right? When you're in a world where there's a lot of unknowns and there's a lot of uncertainty and you're not sure what's going to go where, the best thing that you can do is go into yourself. And I talk about this in the book as well, is when you go introspectively and you reconnect with your sense of purpose and what it is that you're trying to do in the world, it allows you to thrive and to flourish in a time of uncertainty. And so that is my encouragement to you. So let me kind of break down since the book launch what has unfolded. Yes. Okay. So number one, I made the decision in December of last year to go back to school. So I applied to a graduate program. It's a doctorate program in organizational change and leadership. And I just started a couple of weeks ago. And I did that because I've spent a lot of time over the past 20 years solving problems of change and transformation all over the country and in Canada, complex problems. And I wanted to be better in terms of my research, my output, my clarity, my vision, and what I can bring to people in terms of expertise. I believe in intellectual curiosity and the power of continuous learning. I don't think that just because you have a certain amount of experience or you've acquired, a certain number of degrees or certifications, it means you've arrived. I think it's a constant journey, and I'm not finished with mine. And so I have been asked questions like, why would you do that? You already have experience. What's the point of that? You don't need that. And I would argue, why not? Why not? We have one life to live. And if I'm going to live it, I want to bring the best of myself to people. Yeah. So that was one decision. Yeah, two.
Why not go into college debt, when...
I've been fortunate to have made some good financial decisions to be able to do this. But
why not be one of the oldest people in your class?
But looks young.
Yeah.
So, I did my undergraduate UC San Diego political science, healthcare and social issues. Now I'm studying further into what I'm very passionate about, which is change, which is leadership. And I'm excited about the journey that I'm on, the community that I'm building, and what I'll be able to do with, the skills that I continue to develop. But I'm also an entrepreneur at heart. Mm-hmm. I always have loved this spirit that we can grow within a company and do things like what I've done being in corporate America. But I believe that we have a creative spirit and we should unleash that in the world in different ways that we want to do that and explore different, that creative side. So Aaron and I, we had an event property. We had that for 2 years, and we decided at the end of last year to sell the property, move on from that business. It was great. I think it was a good foundation. We learned a ton from doing that business. But it was hard. There were some things that we kind of jumped into it. We didn't necessarily build as the best foundation. And so that created some barriers along the way, but a lot of lessons learned. Yeah. And so when we sold that business, I had the intention for us to invest in another venture, but I needed to take the time to figure out what that was. Mm-hmm. Again, with a purposeful pause, which is the theme of this episode. So I started to investigate in about February of the beginning of this year, what could we do? And I started getting exposed to franchises. Yeah. A lot of times people think a franchise is McDonald's,
Bojangles,
right? Jamba Juice, or for
Jollibee.
restaurants.
What's it called? What's that called? Place called
Jollibee.
Jollibee, right? Yeah.
The Filipino.
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Des invested in her own Jollibee.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
I love the little bee. He's very cute, little mascot. No, so we didn't invest in a Jollibee. Maybe that could be a future endeavor. But I explored a lot of options. Landed on a franchise called Set the Stage. Mm-hmm. Set the Stage is a home staging and furnishing franchise in over 21 states. There's over upwards of now probably 45 or so franchises. And we are the very first owners in the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
So I bought the territories that are the hottest in Las Vegas, which is the South Summerlin area and Southwest Las Vegas.
We own the Strip.
That's right. We do own the Strip. And so we are officially Set the Stage Southwest Las Vegas. Our business is launching in October, so next month. And we are so excited, but it is a process, let me tell you, to build to really build a business. So essentially, when we got awarded the franchise on my mom's birthday, I'm going to come back to that subject in just a second. It was a big deal. So from July all the way up until this point, we have spent every week doing something to build this business.
I mean, the SBA loan process, the whole being vetted, I mean, it was
like business dating.
How many people kind of started on the calls? It was like 40 people, different owners, people that were interested.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like when it's funny, we were talking about The Bachelor, right? It's like you start on like all these people, and then you narrow it down and you narrow it down and you narrow it down. And so the process of a franchise, it's like business dating, right? They have to see that you are a person that fits the qualifications of being a successful owner, and you have to see if their image, their brand fits what you want, because you're basically building a community with this organization and all of the other owners across the country.
And it's not because we're a good kisser or we have dreamy eyes.
Well, you never know if that's the criteria they were looking at. They're like, those two are pretty special. So that in and of itself has been such a huge learning experience for us. We had to get a warehouse. So we have a huge warehouse. Aaron is working on it now. He's laid down the carpet, and there's going to be a lot of work being done to build platforms and a lot of stuff. It's going to be home goods. Yeah. We're going to have our own home goods, right? So that's another big thing. But that's all exciting. But I also lost my mom. Yeah.
Which is crazy, because you think about, okay, you wanted to take a pause before all this, right? Yeah. So it's like you come out with a book, you're kind of disappointed in the way the election went, and then it's like we sold our business. We get into a new one. We're doing all this work, right? You're going back to school. You made the decision. All this stuff is happening. And then right when we're like, okay, good. We're 7 months into the year. We're more than halfway. Let's finish off strong. Your mom passes away suddenly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that if there's nothing else that is a more eye-opening experience, it's losing the person that is the most important to you. Yeah. My mom and I have a very special relationship. I moved her out of her condo in 2018, and she has lived with me ever since, until just this year when she moved into a retirement community with her significant other. And it was almost a little bit of a weird feeling, because I felt like my kid was going away, because she had been with me for all those years. And I had gotten used to being that person that was there for her, that, supported her. We were a little team in some ways, and we formed a bond that sometimes we absolutely drove each other insane, just like any parent-child relationship. But at the same time, the strength of it was, grew as over time. And the move for her to Las Vegas, she trusted me She retired. I wanted her to be in a place where she could enjoy herself because she loved going to the casinos, but still have family. So we have, cousins. One of her sisters lived here. One of her best friends, actually two of her best friends, live in Vegas. And so it was the right move. And I felt like we settled into, our life in Vegas.
Yeah. It was crazy because then like it was like a past love was in Vegas too.
Yes.
She didn't even know.
Yes. So my mom's love story was, she dated a guy over 30 years ago, and then they reconnected in Vegas via Facebook, and they, rekindled and, all of a sudden just cultivated that relationship again. And it was awesome for her. And I'm happy that she got to experience that in her last years, because that was something, I think, to be honest, that she kind of gave up on, this idea of love, and her love was really her dogs, her two Yorkies that I now am the caretaker for. I'm doing the best I can, and definitely not doing it as well as she probably does. So hopefully she's watching down and giving me a little bit of grace. I have a completely different lifestyle than what she had. I do travel a lot, and so it takes a village for me. Right now, her boyfriend is actually watching the dogs while Aaron and I are here getting ready for this amazing Summit of Greatness event. So it's a lot. There, school, a new business, losing somebody that means a tremendous amount to me, and I was happy that we recently were able to do a celebration of life for her and really finally have the time to celebrate my mom.
But it's funny because there's a lot of people who are like coaches. Mm-hmm. They write books, and it's just like sometimes you really want to know what a person's made of. It's like, okay, you're an author, you're a podcaster, you do all this, but when something like that happens, when you lose your mom, then you start looking at your own teachings,
Like completely looking at, my own teachings and what she taught me, what she instilled in me. And the bigger revelation that I had, which is crazy because I feel that I'm still early in life. I believe that I have a long way to go. I hope anyways, is this realization that I have lost my father and my mother. Mm-hmm. I lost my dad when I was young, when I was 9. I don't know that I'd ever really talked about that too much on the podcast. And that was hard to lose, someone who truly built my foundation. My father was an immigrant from the Philippines. He had to learn English. He joined the army, and he wanted to create a good life for myself, for obviously my mom. And I have an older sister who's 9 years older than me. And he wanted that. And when I lost him at a young age, that was always hard for me to feel that I would go through so many milestones in life and not have my father there. And when I lost my mom, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have my parents at the next chapters of my life. Yeah. And so that I've had to sit with, and to be honest, I don't know that I've completely processed that because it's still a little bit fresh, but it does make you recognize that life is short, and I want to make it matter. And when we were awarded the franchise on my mom's birthday, and then she had a cardiac arrest shortly thereafter, and she passed on the 25th of July, so everything happened really fast. It put so much into perspective of giving a purpose to dedicate our growth, our contributions, and our success with this business to her, and to leave a legacy and to honor her name. And that's definitely the intention that I have.
Some people sometimes will be like, well, Des, this has just happened. Like, your mom just passed away. Like, maybe you should just chill out for a while. And sometimes it's like, because some people come and be like, some people be like, oh, I just lost my parent, but that didn't stop me. I kept moving. And sometimes people may take that as insensitive, But I think it's just, you just have to figure out what type of person you are. Some people will say, you know what, I need time. you know, like when my sister passed away, my mom didn't go back to work for a while. Like she didn't want to go back to a routine because it was just like, you just lost your daughter. Like no parent wants to bury their kid. So there's this huge hole in her heart. Her world flips upside down. It's like, you don't even want to go back to work because you don't want to have that, like that whole feeling of when you have a routine where you wake up, you call your mom, or you talk to your mom, or on the way home you call your mom, and it's like a muscle memory. So like my mom, she didn't even want that. So for her, people grieve differently. For you, you're a person that like, it seemed like when your mom passed away, you went harder. Like when it came to, there was like what, 4 or 5 other franchises. You were just on it. Like you were doing your consulting, you're doing your school, you're filling out all these applications and trying to get this business off the ground, you know? So, but I think for you, it was kind of like, it was automatic, you know?
Yeah.
Just like my dad, when my sister passed away, my dad worked harder. He started a whole company under her, you know,
under her name,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no, you know, right or wrong. I think it's just like, you know, but I think for you, it's, you know, I think it's good because everything that you teach and preach, you know, you're living it. It's like the teacher's being tested.
Constant, you know, and that's the other thing is it's very humbling.
Yeah.
Going through life is humbling, even when, like I said again, when you feel that you've gained an expertise in something, we still have those moments of vulnerability. We still have those moments of, I don't know the answers, or you don't feel confident, or you don't feel secure. And so the whole objective when I started Born Unbreakable around examining and re-examining our self-limiting beliefs is that they will always be present. There will always be things in your life that come along the way and try to stop you and become a barrier, a potential barrier for you achieving the next thing that you have your eyes set on. Whether it is a person in your life, the environment that you allow to dictate to you something, there are going to be things. And I'll be honest, part of the reason I took a pause was because of the paralyzing environment that we are in, that I think has been exacerbated to an extent that I have never seen before in my lifetime. I feel, and still do, like I'm living in the twilight zone sometimes in a delusion, because we have just arrived to such a place where people are, it's all about choose a side, pick a side, you know, and the world is just not black and white. And on top of the domestic situation that we clearly have not figured out in America because of how polarized it is, there are things going on all around the world that are wreaking havoc and causing chaos. Russia and Ukraine, what's going on in Gaza, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. You know, I thanked my professor today for holding space for us to just take a minute, take a breath, and acknowledge that, yes, we have things to do, but let's just have some space for each other to check in.
Yeah.
Are you good? Are you okay? Do we need to just rally around each other a little bit before we just go on to business as usual?
You know, and like, I get it. People get like emotional. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who really followed and admired Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean? I mean, and like for me, it's like when my sister passed away, this guy that ran into her and left the scene and was a total asshole about it. Like during the trial, like there was, when that happened, like we had people call us. I had you know, family members, you know, family friends, people that said, hey, do you want us to go and deal with this guy? You know what I mean? And in the heat of the moment, like you really start thinking about it. Like I was really there, like really thinking, like I knew where this guy lived. Maybe, you know, how could I get away with it? I was thinking these things and it was crazy. And then even when we went to the trial, I had to go to lunch and see this guy sit down with his lawyers right next to me. And I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, all I have to do is just jump over this table and just
strangle
him. You know what I mean? But again, for me, it's like having that restraint and understanding, hey, you know what? If I do that, what is it going to cause? It's just going to cause more problems. Now I'm going to hurt my mom, my daughters. There's consequences. And then, but I waited for the right time. So when I went in front of that judge and there was a victim impact statement, I said, look, I understand that you can't do an eye for an eye. I understand you can't give this guy life. I understand you can't even give this guy 20 years.
Yeah.
The most you can give is 8 years. You know what I mean?
Damn.
So I said, you know what? I just want you to know that I believe in the justice system and I understand. And I just hopefully that this court does the max that it could to set an example so that maybe nobody else has to go through this, And for me, this guy's going to get out in 8 years and he's going to be able to see his kids. We're never going to get our sister back, But to me, it's just like that pause, that trying to think, like being selfless, like you really get tested. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah. So I'm like, for me, so when I got to sit there and see him get handcuffed, all I did was look at his family and just smile, and it pissed them off. But that's like, and you know what? To me, it was like, I even told the judge, I know you can't bring my sister back. You know what I mean? But I know it's just like, it's like understanding that there's a bigger picture here. It was unfortunate. And they did. They gave them the max that they could. And then it was, what really felt good was the jurors that came to us afterwards and found us at a restaurant and said, we're so sorry. We wish we can do more for you guys. Yeah. And these are complete strangers that cared about us.
Yeah,
and
they heard your story.
That thing right there is just having empathy. And for me, it's like, and it's crazy because when you have this thing where like people who are like religious and Christian and, one of the biggest things is forgiveness. Right. Right. So for me, it's like, I had to go, hey, this guy got what he deserved. And that's it. I'm going to let the hate go. Like, he's going to have to answer to God anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and let that hate for him build up in me. And then I melt over. And that's what sometimes it is happening right now.
And that's happening across everywhere. Yeah. So if there's anything that you take away from listening to this conversation between Aaron and I, is to examine where you are right now. There is a lot going on in the world. What does a purposeful pause look like to you? Check your emotions. We're very quick to react in the heat of the moment, and oftentimes when we do that, we don't make the best decisions. Mm-hmm. Check in with the people you love, the people you care about. Do introspection and focus on the things that are going to bring you joy, that are going to fuel you, and that are going to bring the best of you to the world. And I'm telling you right now, that's not hate. It's not negativity. It's not ridicule. It's not putting other people down. It's not judgment. It's not any of those things. If we look at the greats of our time, everybody from Princess Diana to Mother Teresa to Martin Luther King Jr., these are people who, yes, they stood up for what they believed in, but they did it with grace. They did it with empathy. They did it with compassion. They did it with intelligence. And they didn't do it with violence. So violence and hate is not the answer. That is not what we need in our society right now. That's not going to make us more productive, and it's not going to get us any further. In fact, it's going to put us behind, and it's going to put us at a deficit. And that's not where we need to be. And so our commitment to you, which is the very reason of why we're here in Los Angeles to go to the Summit of Greatness, is to continue pouring into ourselves to make ourselves better people.
I mean, this Summit of Greatness, like we always look forward to it, but it seems like this one just came at the right time. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, you kind of, it's like you kind of need to take a life shower. I feel like that's. It's crazy because you're in this space. Like I came to Summit of Greatness the first time just to be like the film guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now I look forward to it every year because it's cool being around people who are just want to do better. They're supportive. You know what I mean? And it's real. Like I love when people come on stage and just give you the raw, like,
Yep.
That's right. And there's no sales pitch. There's no, hey, If you buy my book, if you buy my courses, it's just like people just coming in and being like a big brother and sister, just telling you like it is.
That's right.
I like it.
Yep. So we're excited. A lot of amazing, incredible speakers that we'll hear. Everyone from Gabby Bernstein, obviously Lewis Howes, Matt Hussey, and many others. We'll do an episode where we break down the kind of things we've learned and what we can share with you. But thank you for joining us in this space, coming back, tuning in to the Born Unbreakable podcast, or joining us for the first time. If you're tuning in, we love doing this. Yeah. We enjoy giving back to people, and so we're excited. We're excited to be back.
And please, guys, if you guys like this episode and you support Des, like and subscribe and share to spread, the positivity and the greatness that all the stuff that Des does. And recording from the famous Roosevelt Hotel.
That's right.
I like it.
Los Angeles. All right. We'll see y'all next time.